So good evening, everyone. My name is Cynthia McElroy. I'm over North People's Assembly, and I'm responsible for bridging the gap in communication with the residents, making sure that you make your voice heard, but also making sure you are aware of everything that's happening in the city. Today's meeting is about the tax reevaluation for the West Ward. We're having this meeting so all the residents could be aware of what's going on. We want to overly communicate. Make sure that if you have questions now, you could ask your questions. We're going to do a presentation. Then after that, we'll open for questions. I want to thank Councilman Kelly for being on me to have this meeting to make sure you guys are fully aware. We also have Frank DeCessio, he's the tax assessor for the city, and we have the ASI appraisal system who will be explaining the process, who's coming to your house, what it looks like if you miss the person, you know, how to contact. And then so we just encourage you to ask all the questions that you need so you can know what's going on. And if there's any questions afterwards, you know, after today, feel free to reach out to us so we can help you a part of this process. Just keep in mind that the tax reevaluation, even though they're going to be coming to your house having conversations, this doesn't take place until 2027. So making sure you are aware of it. So again, I'm going to, Councilman, you want to say something really quick? And then we'll turn it over to Frank.
Hello everybody, how you doing? I'm Councilman Dupre Kelly. Thank you for coming out. This meeting is for just to bring you up to date and up to speed of what's going on with the tax reevaluation. I had to learn some of this information myself, being a homeowner in the West Ward. So this is very important, right? It's very important because we're in some tough times. We don't want our taxes to go through the roof, and we just want to explain and have the pros explain to you what's going on, what a reval is, what a reevaluation is, and what you should expect, and make sure that, you know, we equalize, you know, all of the situations that can happen and that will happen or may not happen, you know, with the taxes. So that's been a conversation that we've been going throughout the entire city. We've been doing it all around the city. So we just wanted to make sure that our West Ward residents were brought up to speed as well.
Thank you, Councilman. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Frank, and you can begin.
Yeah, I'm Frank DeCessio, I'm the tax assessor. We have appraisal systems here who's going to go over the revaluation process. And we'd like it if you could hold off on your questions until after the presentation. We'll have plenty of time then. Some of your questions may be answered by our guys here. But please wait until after we get done with the presentation for the questions. And I'm going to hand it over to Bill.
Okay. Does this one work? All right, this one. I'm Bill with Appraisal Systems. We're just going to do a presentation. It should take maybe 25 minutes or so, and we'll open the floor for questions. Hopefully the presentation will answer some of those questions. So let's just get started. So the following is the definition of a revaluation program. A revaluation program seeks to spread the tax burden equitably within a taxing district by appraising property according to its true value and assessing it based on such value. It's accomplished by the mass appraisal of all real estate property in the taxing district by an outside professional appraisal revaluation firm. So one of the big things is there's an erroneous assumption by some that a revaluation is a means by the municipality is going to increase the property taxes. Revaluations do not increase the total amount of revenue to be raised by taxation. The municipality only collects the amount of tax dollars that the 4 units of local government, local school, regional school, county government, and municipal government determine is necessary to operate. So why is North doing a revaluation? This was ordered by the County Board of Taxation. They have criteria that determines whether a town or a city needs to do a revaluation. The last reval was done in 2013. The average ratio is 44.94%, which means when a house sells in your town now, the average assessment is only 44% of that sale price. The goal is to have the assessment at 100% of that sale price. Another part of the criteria is the number of appeals, changes in characteristics in the areas or neighborhoods, other economic factors such as inflation and recession, and legislation like zoning in particular. If zones change, then values could change as well. So here we just have an example, okay? So on the top, just to say, this property is currently assessed at $185,000. And the current tax rate is 55.84. So the current taxes is the assessed value times the rate. So the current taxes of this property is $10,330. If the average increase for the total town, doing a revaluation, if the average increase is 2 times, so if your value essentially doubles, the tax rate will decrease by 2 times, assuming the budget remains the same. So for example, if your assessment went from 185 to the lower example, and now it's at 370,000. Well, now the tax rate drops to 2792. So your assessment times the new rate gives you taxes of $10,330. So even though your property went doubled in value, your taxes remain the same if the total for the town is 2 times. So let's just say you went up a little more than double and you were assessed at 400,000. Well, then your taxes would go up a little bit to 11,168. If you were a little below the average for the town and you were only assessed at 340,000, well, then your taxes would go down. You would go to 9,493. And this is just another example. So the same original property assessed at 185 with the 55.84 tax rate and taxes of 10,330. Now let's say the average increase for the total town is 3.4 times. The tax rate will decrease by 3.4 times due to the revaluation, assuming the budget remains the same. So the new assessment you went from 185 to 629,000. Well, the tax rate's going to drop down to 16.42. So multiplying the assessment by the rate, your taxes would be the same, $10,330. So just because your value is rising doesn't mean the taxes are. Now, if you are valued more than a 3.4, if you're up to 660,000, then your taxes would go up. If you're valued lower than the average, then your taxes go down. So our process consists of 7 steps. 1, inspect. 2, analyze. 3, review. 4, inform. 5, meet. 6, submit. And 7, defend. So we'll go through each step pretty quickly. The first thing that we do is we mail a letter out to every resident, the address of record for every resident. The letter was mailed in November of 2024. So everybody should have received a letter letting you know that we would be doing this. So what we do is we begin knocking on properties. We will begin the West Ward probably in 2 to 3 weeks. We'll begin knocking on the doors for the West Ward. All knocks will occur between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Each inspector has an ID that's been authorized by the police department. It looks like this here. It'll have their name, their inspector number, their picture, and our company information on it. Don't allow anybody in your home that doesn't have the ID. And if you have any concerns, you can call us at the phone number or the police department, and both of their phone numbers are listed here. Also, one other thing is our website will have a list of all of our inspectors, and we'll also have all the properties in town listed, so you'll know what inspector is assigned to do your property. So when we do the inspection, we do a site inspection. We look for outside influences such as flooding, or if it's adjacent to a commercial property or an industrial property, a gas station, schools, firehouses. We look for different factors that would affect the value of the property. High traffic streets, any noise, or any other negative factors that we can find that would affect value for a buyer. Also during the visit, we'll measure the exterior of the property. It's examined, the foundation, the framing, the exterior siding. They measure all dimensions of the main improvements and all other structures on the property, such as a shed or a garage. Everything will be measured. The style of the home as well will be noted. So they'll sketch the house. They'll sketch the footprint of the house, and it's broken into sections. Okay, and this will be on your property record card. So the bottom right section is a 1.5 story over a basement. And then in the back they have a brick patio, a wood deck, a 1 story over slab, and a 1 story over crawl section. And it also has an unfinished half area over an attached garage. So your whole structure will be labeled and provided on the property record card. Styles of houses are taken into consideration. There's some examples up there of a colonial, a ranch, a bi-level, a row house, a cape. All of these are put onto the card and taken into consideration for value. The condition of the home is also taken into consideration. So if you have 2 houses next to each other that are the same house, both built in the same year, doesn't necessarily mean that they're in the same condition. One may have put all new vinyl siding on the house a few years ago, or a new roof. So we take the exterior condition into consideration when valuing. If nobody's home when we come to your house, we will leave a sticker at your door that looks just like this one up there. It'll have the inspector number, the date we came, and the date and the time that we came. It will have information on there for you to call if you'd like to schedule an interior inspection. So the interior inspection usually takes anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the size of the house. All levels of the home, the main floor, upper levels, attics, and basements will be inspected. The only attics we inspect have fixed staircases to it. So we don't do the pull down stairs, or if there's like a hole in the ceiling in a closet where we need a ladder, we don't go up there. We only go up if it's a fixed staircase. We note the number of rooms, the heating type, the air conditioning, number of fireplaces, plumbing, and how much of the basement and attics are finished. The quality and condition of the kitchen will be noted. So whether it's an original kitchen or if it's been updated and to what extent it's been updated, everything will be noted regarding the kitchens. And the same for the bathrooms. We will note the condition of the bathrooms again as to whether, whether they're an old, average, or modern condition. The basements and attics are also inspected, and again, quality and condition are being examined and taken into consideration. Not every finished basement is the same. We took on some new things that we did during COVID-19, so inspectors will have masks on them if you want them to wear masks. So if an inspector is not given the opportunity to do an interior inspection, the interior information will be estimated, which may result in an inaccurate assessment of your home. We do estimate to the highest reasonable level if we do not get inside. There's two ways to get an interior inspection. One, you can call the number and schedule an appointment for a time that works for you. We can have an inspector physically come to your home and inspect the property. We could also do a video conference, like a FaceTime or a Zoom call, if you'd prefer not to have somebody in your home. Condos, co-ops, and townhouses are inspected the same way as single-family or multifamily homes. Some master deeds will be used to confirm the size, the layout, and the model of the condos. And it's the same review process as all other residential properties. And if you do live in a development that is gated or we are not able to access due to a locked door, it's kind of like an apartment building, we will reach out to the management company and try to schedule with them a day that we can get inside, and hopefully they can let all the residents know that we're coming that day, and we'll try to make it easy on everybody. So again, this just says we do the same as the residential properties. Let's see. Okay. A neighborhood is the immediate environment of the subject property. So it's defined by certain characteristics that differentiate it from other areas in the community, such as similar style houses, similar utility, age and size of houses, and quality of houses. The neighborhoods, we create a neighborhood map for your ward. We will use natural barriers like rivers or lakes. We'll use political barriers such as zoning boundaries or school districts. Sometimes we'll use streets or rail lines or utility right-of-ways. But we will define the neighborhoods, and they're used for land values as well. So we'll use land sales as well to define the neighborhoods. So step 3 is the review. Reports are generated based upon information realized from the inspection of the properties and the market sales analysis. It assists in applying all market value indicators into a uniform standard that produces equitable values. Step 4 is the notification of value. So we will mail a letter to everybody when we are complete with your new assessed value. It contains instructions for setting up a meeting to review the assessment if you'd like to. At this time on our website, which is asinj.com, we will provide the neighborhood map that we created on our website, the tax impact information, all of the proposed assessed values for every property, and all of the sales that we've used to value those properties. So you can see all of the information that we used. You could also see all of the assessed values in town. At this time, nothing's final. We do grant an opportunity, what we call informal hearings. So when you get that letter with your new assessed value, if you have any questions at all regarding that value, you can call us. We'll schedule a time to have a one-on-one talk with all of you, if all of you reach out, to let you know how we got to the value. And if you have any concerns over that value or any information you care to share with us, you can share that information with us, and we will review whatever information you share with us. Most of those meetings are held at the municipal building, Mondays through Saturdays. We do also provide some phone hearings if you're unable to get to the municipal offices. So after that, after those meetings and after all information is shared with us, if any changes are made, we then transmit the final values to the municipality and the county. All of the information, the data collection forms, the property record cards, photographs, neighborhood map, correspondence, databases, everything that we've gathered is given to the town. An official notification of the final value is from the municipality. Any photographs we take, we do take exterior photographs. We'll take the front and the back and any detached items such as a garage. We do not take any interior photos. So after that final value is reported to the town, the only option at that point in time is to file a tax appeal. You file the appeal with the county and the state. When you do so, you cannot appeal by comparing assessments. You cannot say, I have the same house as my neighbor and they're assessed lower than me. You cannot appeal your tax dollar amount. You have to prove value by using comparable sales. So it's the assessed value. You have to find recent sales that support a lower value than your assessment if you do want to appeal it. And the appeal deadline is May 1st. All commercial and industrial properties will be valued as well. We use the cost approach, the sales comparison approach, and the income capitalization approach. For commercial and industrial valuation, property owners are notified via certified mail, which contains a demand for income and expense information. All properties are going to be valued as of October 1st of the pre-tax year. So that would be October 1st of 2026. So if a property is under construction, when we visit it, we may come back near the end of the process to see how much of the property is complete. A property is considered to be taxable when it's ready for its intended use. The assessor will revisit the property upon completion and subject it to the added assessment list. And so to wrap up, every everything we do, every piece of information we gather and every sale we use and every assessed property value that we assess upon you is provided on our website. Everything is there to see. And you can call our office at any time if you have any trouble navigating the website. They'd be happy to tell you where the information is that you're looking for. So that's it for the presentation. Hopefully it answered some questions, but I'm happy to open the floor for any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you for giving this great presentation. This is the time that we do open up the floor. I just want to go over a couple of house rules, making sure that one person is talking at one time so we can hear and listen and get a full understanding, but also too keeping it at 1 minute because there might be other people who have to ask questions. We don't want anyone leaving a meeting without having a clear vision of what's going on. I know during the presentation, a couple of residents asked, how can we see this again? So it is on the city webpage as well as the email blast for Newark People's Assembly. If you're not a part of Newark People's Assembly, you can register at the table, scan the QR code, but also we're willing to share it if you wanted to get it emailed to you as well. I know there might be some neighbors that's not here that couldn't be here, but we want to make sure everybody's fully aware. With that being said, if we could form a line right here of people who have questions. Again, we're going to keep it at 1 minute.
Hello and thank you, Drew Elliott. I was just curious, the numbers you use, are those actual numbers that the city's proposing, or that's just something on the screen you talk about?
That was just an example.
I was curious, you're talking about this is in reference to selling homes. Most of us probably been here 30 years, we may never think of selling a home, so you get it. It's great for people trying to sell, but if you're not looking to sell, and also you got a lot of retirees, people with fixed incomes. So the price of the home is going up. I'm paying more taxes, but my income is going down and stayed the same. So that's an issue. I got a few more things here.
Well, regarding that, regarding the sales, the assessment value just reflects the sale price, and that's why it was ordered by the county to do, because the sale prices are so much higher than the value. They want the assessed values at 100%. They want the assessed value to be 100% of market value.
Right, so the sales price probably represents 10, 15% of the population, when a good 70% ain't never leaving nowhere, and our prices are going up. So we're getting hit over the head with somebody trying to sell. So that's just an opinion. Also, one more thing here. How are you guys getting paid? And what percentage of that is making our prices go up even higher? Because you guys got on nice suits, I got on little shirts. I mean.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's okay. That's not a question we can answer, but thank you for your comment. Next. Yes.
I don't know if I think he did that.
The first one, yeah. Not about the suits and ties.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, thank you for being here. A couple of questions. I didn't receive a letter, so how do I go about receiving one? Because I never received a letter in November. They said they were mailed out. I didn't get one. So how would I get one?
You could call our office and let them know your address, and we'll be happy to remail another one.
Call your office. Is there a number somewhere?
It should be on the presentation. I can give it to you if you want it. Okay.
So just to be clear, is the letters coming from the tax assessor's office, the city of Newark, or is it coming directly from the?
It comes directly from us.
Okay. If you could say the number out loud.
Yeah. All right. Our phone number at our office is 201-493-8530. You're welcome. And anytime our inspectors come to inspect, they have a copy of that letter on their tablet if you do need to see it then.
Repeat the number again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you could go a little slower, I appreciate it.
201-493-8530. Appraisal Systems.
Yes. Can you go over these dates again for me? You mentioned the October 1st, 2026 date. And then in one of your slides, it had a May date. I don't know what that May date is. It didn't have a year. So what's the date for October 1st, 2026? All of this should be done by then?
It should be done by then. Yes, that is, well, no, the whole process won't be completed by then, but that is the date the date of valuation.
Okay, then what's the May date?
The May date is the deadline to appeal your taxes.
2027.
2027,
Okay.
yes.
Good evening. My name is Michael Hurd. I live at 23 Mead Street in the West Ward. And on the first page of your presentation, it was a thing of 28% devaluation. You didn't explain that at all. I'm curious as to what that's about.
Oh, the deviation?
I think it said devaluation. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was a deviation. It had to do with why the county ordered the revaluation. Bear with me while I get back there. I don't want to misquote the numbers. I believe it was like most homes that sold were assessed at 44%. Were assessed at 44% of their sale price. So, which was one of the reasons. Was this the slide?
Yeah, devaluation.
Okay. Yeah, the coefficient of devaluation means not every house sold at 44% of its sale price. It varied approximately 28% in each direction. So some homes sold at 73% of their assessed value, and other homes sold at 16% of their assessed value.
You talk about flood damage, gas stations, tire shops, all these varied properties that are adjacent to properties, sometimes directly adjacent to residential properties, and sometimes adjacent to residential streets, where is that going to be taken into consideration?
Yes.
If you have a good residential street, but you're right up, you've got abandoned building that's rotted out, you've got tire shop, or what, is that going to be part of the process also?
Yes, and it would be reported on your property record card.
Prices are going up because housing is being built at a rapid rate. You put in infill houses everywhere. And so how is that going to affect the homeowner who is a long-term resident, who's staying, not a real estate, he's not looking to get rental properties?
Well, we're trying to assess the properties at market value. And the example that we gave on one of the slides, even if the average property assessment doubles, right, the tax rate's gonna come down. So if your property is right at the average and it goes from 150 to 300, your taxes are gonna remain the same. So it's not, just because your property assessment goes up doesn't necessarily mean your property taxes will go up. It has more to do with the budget. That's if the budget stays the same. We don't know the new budget. We don't know the new budget, nor are we involved with the budgeting.
Good evening. I have a couple questions. You provided us with options as to how we can get our house evaluated. One of them was Zoom. Would that require me to take my camera around my house to every room?
Yes.
Okay. I asked that question because I'm not comfortable with someone coming in there and I'm not there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not there, I'm there alone.
Yeah, you can do it over your phone. You just walk to your house and tell us what room you're in.
Okay, the next question is, you said you provide the cities with photographs of the front, back, and garage or shed. What's done with those pictures?
Well, I believe the one front photo is kept, right, with the in the assessor's office as well.
Yes.
Right. All photos we provide are passed down to the county and the board. I truthfully don't know what's, like, how long we keep the photos or anything. Do we, just, I'm sorry, maybe
No,
Frank
okay.
can answer.
They're put on the computer and in the assessor's office.
So what does that mean? Like if I go to the tax assessor's office now, there's no photo of my property?
There will be.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. The next question, and I think it was one a person in front of me mentioned. I have a city-owned abandoned house next to me. Is that taken into consideration?
Yes.
Okay. And the last one is, at the end you said you'll be able to search your account. So would I be able to search anyone's account or just my information of my assessment?
There's not really an account, but all assessments, every property in the city of Newark, you will be able to see what they are assessed for. That's public information.
That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Question, how are you assessing the rates for the different property in different areas?
Well, we assess the value of the property. The rate is based on the town budget. So we use comparable sales and the cost approach to value all the properties in town.
So if I'm going to get a property loan or sell my house, is this the same type of assessment?
If you're getting a loan, whoever's giving you a loan is probably going to do an appraisal on your property to make sure they don't, for risk factors, to determine how much they want to lend you.
What's the difference in the assessment and the appraisal?
It's essentially the same, yes.
So I wouldn't need an appraisal on my house anymore. I just go to the city and say, oh, my house is only worth this. So all of the houses now are going to be different based on your assessment?
Yes, the great majority, probably all values will be different. But I don't know if, I can't speak for whether a lender is going to accept your assessed value as, you know, they might want their own appraisal written. That I can't speak to.
So will this affect the value of the homes in the West Ward? That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, they're gonna look at sales in your neighborhood. And once you come up with a price or an assessment, that's gonna be on the books. Values change all the time. So if you went for another loan after the assessment came out, the values may have gone up, gone down, stayed about the same. The bank is going to want to have its own appraisal.
So I'm basically paying for my house on the land, but what am I getting for my taxes? You know what I'm saying? I'm paying for the land for the taxes, and you're getting more money if I do more work. But am I getting more money or getting more service for my taxes if they increase?
Well, the assessment is based on sales in the neighborhood. And we take a look at all the factors that may affect value, plus or minus. Tire shop, gas station, crossing the lake might be a good thing. So that's what they're going to come up with, the assessed value of 100% of fair market value. All the houses and all the buildings in Newark are going to be assessed at 100% of fair market value.
So I believe you said the assessment will start coming out in 2 to 3 months?
2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Then I also heard where you said if it's a new construction build, you'll do an assessment at where they're at that point.
Yeah, we will note the percentage complete.
Some of us homeowners, like myself, are doing improvements in my house now. So if he comes out in 2 to 3 weeks, and my floor is not completely down, do I get an assessment that's lower because my floor is not completely down? Or do I have to call you and say, I need you to come back and get a reassessment before, what do you say, October?
Before October of 2026.
How does that work for homeowners?
We would gather the data as of the date of inspection. If there's permits out for work, we will re-inspect to see whether they're completed or not.
Is it the same individual that will come out, or is it just somebody?
It may be someone different.
Okay, because I know with the permits, we usually get the same person.
Well, from the town, yeah, if you took out a permit, I'm sure the town sends the same inspector, but I can't really speak for that either.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. Earlier, there was an earlier question about abandoned property being adjacent to a house. You guys, and you had said you'd take it into consideration. But what does consideration mean? That's my first question.
There could be a percentage taken off of the house for any negative factor that influences it.
We're also going to be going by sales also. Sales in your neighborhood, if there's sales on the same street or very close in proximity, they're going to reflect that. You're going to see a minus, a lower value because of a problem with abandoned properties, derelict properties.
And my next question is, at least for the West Ward, are you or have you been able to do projections for the average amount of increase based on, say, current sales and prior assessments?
We have not yet, because we have not even begun to inspect. So as soon as we begin to inspect and gather data, and then start to analyze the data and start to review sales is when we'll have more information. We can't project without the information.
Look at recent sales and prior
The
assessments.
date of evaluation is going to be October 1st of 2026. So we're a year away from when we're going to have the values put on the properties.
Okay, okay.
There are still sales to occur that we could use. There are still sales that could occur that we could still use from 2026. When 2026 arrives, those sales are going to be set in the assessed values.
Evening. I'm just curious about when defending or appealing the assessment. You said that we were unable to use other properties on the street to defend that, but only recent sales. Is that because even though the tax assessment information is publicly available, we won't have the new assessments? Because the goal here is to get all of the assessments up to 100%, which would mean they would all reflect fair market value, but I'm guessing we wouldn't have that estimation for fair market value. So when defending, we would only be able to use recent sales?
Correct. The County Board of Taxation will only accept comparable sales to prove the market value of a home.
And that's because we won't have access to the pending reevaluation numbers for all the houses on our street?
You'll have, everything will be official at that point in time. You'll have every assessed value in town. It's just the County Board of Taxation will not compare assessments. They want comparable sales.
So even though my neighbor's house will be assessed at 100% of the value by you guys, I can't use that to defend my assessment. I have to use an even more recent sale.
You can't use their assessment to defend your assessment. If your neighbor's house sells within the period of time, October of 25 to October of 26, yes, you could use that sale.
So is that just a government issue that that's the case? Like, why wouldn't I not be able to use the 100% fair market value of my neighbor's house to help determine what my assessment should be?
That would probably be a better question for the County Board of Taxation. I'm not the County Board of Taxation. We're an appraisal firm.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I came in late, so I want to find out. I have a two-family house, so and my house is in the process of being redone. I've been renovating it and everything. So when you come out and do the assessment of the house, which is going to be next year or this year?
Well, we'll start in 2 to 3 weeks.
You're starting in
Yeah, so-
2 to 3 weeks assessing the house and everything. Okay, so approximately, what is a 2-family house going for here in the West Ward?
I personally don't have any sales data yet. We don't gather it until we begin the process. We have not gathered, we have not begun. We'll begin in 2 to 3 weeks. And it takes, and then we will gather that data and we will present it all on our website.
So then, for those of us who are getting our property renovated and everything, that means that it's going to, the price is going to increase, which means the taxes will be increasing, right?
In general, yes.
Okay. So now, let me ask you this question too. As a landlord, okay, I don't know if this is the proper place to ask this question, but is there any type of support that landlords could get as far as rebates or anything like that?
In general, 1 to 4 families, there's senior citizens, there's veterans deductions.
Okay.
But-
Oh, okay. So I'm a senior citizen.
and-
I'm 74.
Okay.
Okay.
Really?
So,
And it depends on, it also depends on filling out the application and your income, if there's income restrictions.
okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dorothea. I live in the West Ward on 8th Street. The houses you showed up there do not look like my block. That's number one, right? So, my neighbor's house is not upkept. My house is upkept. So is that going to affect my taxes? And if the taxes go up and the average income in the city of Newark for these tenants, 30, 40,000, if you go up on our taxes, what you think we gonna do? What you think we gonna do? We gonna go up on their rent, these families that have these children, and it's already, you can go up. Yeah, as long as you have your house registered, you can go up. As long as you have it registered, and you pay that $50 a day. Okay, so what do you think is gonna happen? Because the neighborhood, the upkeep doesn't look good in the city of Newark. So are you putting that in consideration? The landscaping, all that is important. Because our houses do not look like anything but them pictures you showed up there in our community.
We will break down the ward into neighborhoods, and you will be compared to homes that have sold in your neighborhood.
Hello, good evening. It mentioned that you guys won't be starting the visits, the evaluations and everything for another 2 weeks. But why is it that when I called down to the city, they said that, oh, someone came to your house, did measurements outside. My house was, my square footage was double, illegally. I live on Sanford Avenue. And so the square footage was double, various houses up and down the block. But the county has it one way. I said, I didn't add any additions. I didn't add any additional things. So when that happened, my taxes went up. So who was in charge of evaluating people's homes outside to double their square footage to increase the taxation of each property? Because that's exactly what happened. So we want to know who's responsible for that initial term. If anyone who's gotten those tax assessment letters, you look at the New Jersey parcels, you look at the county. The county has my square footage of my home doubled. The city, when I made my complaints, it changed. So if you guys are just now doing these assessments, then who is going around to these properties measuring or taking photos to determine that? I need to get an answer for that. Because that is what prompted a lot of our property taxes are going up, because people's square footages are double or incorrect.
I don't know the answer to that, because we haven't even begun any work in your ward, so I don't know, and I can't speak for the county or the town.
Yeah, I don't know when property was measured. The last revaluation was in 2013.
Right. But I bought my home in 2021.
Okay.
And my square footage from my deed, the house was built in 1925. The square footage has not changed since 1925. So why is it that when you look at the property records for the city versus the county, the square footage is double, and the assessed taxes went up? So no one has an answer for that, because we're all concerned. All of our taxes are going up now. You guys haven't even done anything yet. So just imagine when you guys go and evaluate everybody's property, what's going to happen to everybody's property here? So what has happened this past year? Because you guys have done some type of footwork in our neighborhoods. Y'all, it's public record. If you go to Essex County, you look at your property tax value and the square footage, and you determine that and you compare that to the city of Newark, and you can see that there's a difference. But yet, there's constantly going up. But there's new properties in the area, they're still paying the same taxes as 10 years ago, but individual houses are being targeted. Does anyone have an answer for that?
If you will come down to the office or give me a call, give me a card, we'll go over your card and see what happened.
Thank you. Her question was segued into mine. So my question is, with whom do you have the contract?
We have the contract with the city of Newark.
You have a contract with the city of Newark, but this is ordered by the county?
Yes.
Yes.
The reval is ordered by the county.
Yes.
The county, of course, if, we get revalued and things go up and our costs, our average value rises, then the county's gonna benefit from increase in property tax, if there is an increase in property tax, is that correct? Or valuation, rather?
Well, we value the properties.
Yeah, I understand.
And if the values go up.
Sorry, I was a little bit vague and unclear. Let me be clear. First, I want to know, who are you working for? You're working for the city?
Correct, yes.
Okay, but it was ordered by the county.
Yes.
So the county ordered the city to do a reval.
Yes.
Is that the?
Yes, that's what happened. Yep.
That's what happened. The county ordered the city to do a reval. Did the county order a reval in all of the other cities in the county?
No, what happens is when the ratio of assessed value to market value falls below a certain point, usually 80% or so, the county orders revaluation. So of all the towns in the county, whatever ones were falling below, right now, Newark is at 47.77% of fair market value. Very, very low. That's why we have to get this revaluation done, bring everything up to 100% of fair market value.
Okay, but when you say fair market value or percent of fair market value, you were talking about the fair market value of all of the properties in Newark?
Yes.
That's what so in other words, you've assessed, there is an assessment already out there of what the fair market value is for all of the properties in Newark.
From 2013.
13 to now. What about the other towns?
That was the fair market value in 2013. That was a snapshot in time. Yeah.
We don't.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'm Eric Pennington, the business administrator for the city. And your question relates to the assessed value that was done in 2013 that represented the fair market value of your property at that time based on the company that did the assessment. It just happens that it's the same company now that we have a contract with that did the assessment back in 2013. Today, we don't know the fair market value of your property. That is part of what they're doing at the moment, to make a determination as to what your fair market value is in every other property in the city. Residential property, commercial property, industrial property, and vacant lots. All of that will be assessed. And that will determine what the tax base can be for the city, but it's not going to determine the tax rate. That will be determined based on our budget at the time that the budget is created, after all these assessments, or all these revals that were done.
Okay, but the standard that was just presented to us was that, is that when the fair market value, when the assessed valuation falls below 80% of the fair market value.
I can talk about that too.
Okay, just a moment. I'm just trying to do some comparisons between what's happening here in Newark and what's happening in Maplewood, or what's happening in South Orange, or what's happening in Belleville. I just want to know we understand, we know that folks from New York are coming over and buying houses, and we got developers coming in and buying up houses. We know this is happening, all right? So we know that there's, increased demand. Let me finish, please. We know that there's increased demand, for the housing in Newark, like in Jersey City. But we don't want to go away in Jersey City. What happened in Jersey City is the people who own the houses in Jersey City could not afford the houses anymore because the taxes went up so high. They were all seniors. They had to sell and get out. So, we're trying to get it. We're trying to get at. We want to uncover the inequality of treatment here, insofar as the County Board of Taxation ordering a reval of the city of Newark. Remember, Sharp James resisted for 20 years, right? He fought it for 20 years. So we may have to ask our mayor to do the same thing. I don't know. We have to see what's going on here.
I want to address the comment about making sure that we have equitable treatment here in the city of Newark relative to other towns in Essex County. I want to piggyback a little bit on what Frank said about the fact that the revaluation hasn't taken place in the city of Newark in 13 years. There's a statutory obligation for every municipality to have the revaluation done at least once every 10 years. We failed to do so for a couple of reasons. So every other municipality in Essex County has had their properties revalued within this 10-year period, and if they haven't, they also are subject to an order by the county, or if there is an 80% ratio or less, they're also subject to be ordered to have a revaluation. So there are two ways that you can be ordered to have a revaluation. One, that you haven't done it within a 10-year period, the county can say you have to do your reval. The other is, even if you had a revaluation within that 10-year period and the ratio is less than 80%, they can order you to do it again. Now there's an argument at least that is a benefit to you and not a detriment, that it's not making your taxes go up. I'm going to maybe go into more detail than people want to hear, but I just introduced, the city, the mayor, and my office just introduced the budget for this year. One of the reasons why it took so long to get that budget introduced is because our ratio is so low, we had to pay an additional $30 million to the county to make up for the difference in what all the other municipalities in the county pay relative to what they consider to be their fair share. So we had to pay more. If we get that reval done, and our ratio is a 1-to-1 ratio, is at 100%, we will not have to pay any additional assessment to the county. It will be based on the 100% fair market value at that moment in time. That won't be until probably the 2027 budget, if we conclude the reval in 2026. So it's a benefit to us in many, many respects to have this reval done. And this resisting that a prior mayor did for 20 years may have had a benefit to some extent for those people for those 20 years because their taxes didn't go up, but it doesn't mean that it was a fair and equitable evaluation. Some people's property values or assessed values are going to go up, but the taxes are not going to go up significantly. Since everybody's going to be reassessed, what, 53,000 lines now?
Yeah.
About 53,000 lines. That includes industrial properties, commercial properties. They may not be paying their fair share. The more that they pay, the less of a burden that will be placed on residential properties. And we're hopeful that it's not going to have an astronomical impact on anyone. I doubt that it's going to be astronomical. It's unlikely. There will likely be adjustments. Some a little bit up, some a little bit down, some pretty much the same. So that's what this revaluation is intended to do. I don't know if that caused more questions or answered your questions or not, but I'll stick around and answer more questions as best I can.
Good evening. I wanted to know when the tax rate will be available. I know you said you haven't worked on that yet, but what date will?
It's been introduced.
Okay.
The question was when the tax rate will be actually settled. We have introduced the budget to the City Council. They have 30 days from the date that we introduce it to review it. They have held hearings with all the departments now. To tell her phone ring. Anyway, I'll get back to my wife. Finish your answer. Somebody might have to tell I'm really at a meeting.
Wow.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I know. I may run the city, but I don't run my house. My wife does that. At any rate, the budget has been introduced. Council has it now. We expect that they will make any adjustments that they have to make within the next couple of weeks at the latest. Then it'll go to the state and a rate will be set. It has to be set by the end of October so that we can have added admitteds done. So we should have that rate no later than the end of October.
Is that something you send out too, or?
Yeah, it'll be sent out.
All right, so that was one of my questions. My next question has to do with like your home value. Like if you look on Zillow or something like that, have you found that that's been comparable to what you're finding in areas, even in areas not just Newark?
We do not use Zillow to value our homes. It's a totally different algorithm that's run whatever their company does. You know, it may match, it may not. I don't know. We do not use Zillow.
I have another question about, my home actually sits kind of on the borderline of South Orange. How does that go, how do you take that into account?
It will be considered in the neighborhood breakdown. So I personally don't know whether that's a positive or a negative. Our project managers will research the neighborhoods and the sales will tell us whether that's a good factor to be located next to South Orange or maybe it's a negative. So the sales will tell us.
Okay, so that will also be counted in?
Yes, it will be. Yep.
Okay, and are there any towns on your website already that you have information for that we may be able to look at and just kind of gauge and get an idea?
Yes, there are numerous towns that we are doing throughout New Jersey. Yeah, and you can. It's all public information, so you could look at other towns' information as well to kind of get an idea of what your information may look like.
The last evaluation, and I let them in my house, and when I got the report, they raised the taxes. Okay, I'm looking at this, every now and then I go down to City Hall and look. My house was built in 35, I got a report in 57. Then, my house went from 1,400 square feet living space to 16 to 2,000. How? Are these mistakes or are they done on purpose? Most of the people on fixed income, the way this economy is going, yeah, we need to fix our house. I need to fix my house. How are we going to do it? We're not going contacting real estate agents, talking about we want to sell our house. I want my house. I want my house. This is ridiculous. And I'm saying, how do they change the numbers? The last time was a reevaluation. I went down to the city and I said, there's a mistake. It wasn't changed. I didn't add a room. I didn't take a room down. I didn't put a porch on. Not a thing. How you go from 1,400 square feet of living space to 2,000? And I don't understand this. And I'm also, my family, raised and born in Jersey City, that's a mess. And if that's any indication of what's going to happen in Newark, we're in trouble. On fixed incomes, we are in trouble. Unless I contact the realtor, I want to sell my house, all those things, like you said, you go down to City Hall, you can find out what color underwear you wear. All your information is down there. The school system, they put more AI in. That's going to get rid of people. So I just want to understand, how did they make that adjustment where they raised the size of my house and the date it was built?
That I don't know. We get the year built from the town. That's on the property record card. When during the last reval, so 2013, the square footage changed?
I went down and I told, they said you can go down to this particular office and tell them there's a mistake, but it wasn't changed.
Well, I can't. I don't know. I don't work for the town, so I mean, we will take every measurement of the house.
I have a couple questions. How are recent investor purchased properties which may be resold at higher than average prices factored into our neighborhood assessments?
There are sales that we do not use, okay? So that may be one of the non-usable sales, that if it's, we don't use the purchase and then in recent improvement. It's hard for me to explain all the non-usable sales, but there are non-usable sales in town.
Well, how do you distinguish between the inflated investor prices and the true market value prices of our homes?
We look for homes that are put on the MLS and have a reasonable exposure to the market.
What safeguards are in place to ensure that our residents aren't overburdened with higher taxes due to speculative buying? That's his job.
Yeah, that's really my job. I mean, I take direction directly from the mayor. We speak every day, and he gives me mandates as to what it is he wants to do. That's sort of a policy question. He has worked very hard to make sure that people understand that the average income here in the city of Newark is less than $40,000. About 50% of the residents here take public transportation. There are homes in our town now that are being, I think somebody mentioned that there are LLCs who are purchasing homes. Oh, you did. I think you started talking about that yourself. Where there are commercial investors who are trying to drive up the prices of homes. We are working now to put in legislation that doesn't allow that to happen, to make sure that the LLCs identify themselves and aren't taking advantage of people, because that's what Mayor Baraka wants. So those policy decisions are things that we're working hard on to make sure that you're not overburdened unfairly from people who come from somebody else, that are from Brooklyn or somebody who is a corporate raider of buying properties. We're working hard to make sure that doesn't happen, that it negatively impacts you. Now that being, when I say that, there's a benefit also to having increased values in your property. There are some people who want to sell their property and move. We don't want to be a situation where you have to do that, but there are people who want to do that, and they should be able to take advantage of the increased value of their properties. That is part of what we're doing now. Part of the, I'll call it the renaissance here in the city of Newark, is to improve the quality of life and improve the value of people's homes all across the city. We don't want to change that, but we want to do it in a way that doesn't force you to have to move if you don't want to. So that's the mandate that I'm trying to face.
Are community-wide increases in the assessments capped or phased in to protect homeowners from sudden spikes?
this was probably a frank answer, but neither are capped, but there are opportunities on an individualized basis to address that with Frank. You can go ahead.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask you based on it. Go ahead,
Okay. You readdress that question again? Could you tell me?
What are, I wrote,
You said whether or not there's a cap.
is it going to be capped or phased in?
No, there's no cap. It's going to be, everyone is going to be at 100% of fair market value.
Okay, and then you said something about individual basis?
Yes, it's not going to be phased in, but you can challenge. They talk about it. There are ways for you to challenge individual.
Very difficult ways.
You can appeal your taxes or your assessment every year.
Based on the recent sales of property.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that there is no cap on the value that is assessed on the property, and it will not be phased in. But on an individualized basis, you can have an appeal. You can ask the reval company to look at things again. They may have gotten information wrong. You want to make sure that that's done. After the whole process is done, the following year, you still have an opportunity to appeal to the county tax board the assessed valuation of your property. That's the following year. So every year, you have an opportunity to check that. For the prior speaker, who I think she said she was a senior, there are special programs available for seniors to freeze your.
Teachers who work in the city, who live in the city?
Not that I'm aware of. For this process, no. But to get, I don't know, there may be facade improvement programs for your home where you can fix the front of your home and fix your sidewalk and those sort of things. But it's fair point. Say she don't want to fix it now because that'll cause the value. So you're right. There is some of that. I'm just telling you that we do have some programs available, and we're happy to work with you to get there.
Taxes, taxes, taxes. What's going on with the seniors? I've been in my property since 2021. And there's nobody came and do assessment, and every single year my taxes going up. So what's gonna happen? You guys running the seniors out of Newark. Because the taxes keep rising, they gotta sell their homes and go because they cannot afford to pay the taxes. That's very bad. Something has to be done. It's not fair. Then when they come and assess now again, the taxes go up. We cannot leave our properties to run down. If we need a little something to do, we have to do it. And then when you guys come, and then you're going to say, oh, this is done, and this done, and this done, and the taxes go up. It's not fair.
It all depends upon the budget. This process has nothing to do with the taxes. This has to do with the assessment of the property.
But the assessment, excuse me, the assessment goes with the taxes. Because when you come and assess it, then the taxes go up.
Not necessarily.
Because the value of the property rise.
Values of the properties in Newark have
Some
to
gonna
rise.
get a break and some not gonna get a break. What happened with all those big buildings and all those properties that putting up there and all? They should be paying the taxes for us. They should be paying the taxes. They're coming in to buying up all the buildings and all that, and they're getting a tax break and we getting nothing.
This is for the assessment. This is for the revaluation of the city.
Okay, so you just partially clarified why I came up here is pretty much this really is going to fall on our city council, right? So as long as the budget remains the same, our taxes should not have major increases depending on maybe you did more work than your neighbor, so your increase might be a little bit higher. However, I think our aggression or question and pressure should be on the city council in making sure that that the budget doesn't increase. Because if the budget increases, then the percentage that we have to contribute to will increase.
So my question is, are there any major projects or any things that are foreseen that will increase this budget? That's my first question.
I must confess I was answering the text. What was the last part of your question?
Is there anything that's going to cause the budget to increase?
Okay, sure. The question is, will it be anything to cause a budget increase? The budget that was introduced has about a 4% increase built into it. Over the last 10 years under Mayor Baraka, the average increase in the budget has been about 2.25%, which is significantly less than many of the surrounding towns. At some point, if our tax increases, which is what funds the budget, don't keep up with the cost of living and inflation, there has to be an adjustment. That's why this year it's a little bit more than it has been in prior years. That's at 4%. It's closer to, I think it's about 5.7% is the increase in the overall tax rate that's we submitted. The city council has to look at that and they make adjustments. The adjustments can go up or down. It's likely that they're going to stay pretty flat, but that's where it is. But the mayor has worked extremely hard to keep our tax increases as low as possible. The neighboring town, Hillside, their taxes went up double digits. Well, you say you don't care. Everybody else has asked questions about. I think this gentleman right here asked me. I forgot your name. Differently used. He talked about whether or not there's inequity in what's going on in Newark relative to other towns. That's why I brought that up. So I'm answering in that context. Not that you need to worry about you don't know what they're paying their grocery bill in Hillside. You don't know how many kids they get, what they got to do. It's not you. I understand that. Relative to them, though, our tax increases are about half, less than half of what they have been increased. Jersey City's tax increase went up a couple of years ago, over 20%, 27%, I believe, was a tax increase. So relative to those other towns, our tax increases have been remarkably low. When it hits your pocketbook, we're trying to keep it. If possible, I don't think it's going to be reduced less than what we introduced it at. I've introduced the budget, under the mayor's direction, have introduced the budget with about less than a 5% overall tax increase. We want to keep it that way. Next year, I hope it's less. The year after that, we hope it's less again. But there are realities, there are pressures of the costs of increased goods and services that are built into that. Employee salaries, other things have to go on. We need to build new firehouses. All those things are paid for by you and me. I live here too. And those are the things that we have to pay for. But I'm working very, very hard under the mayor's direction to keep that as low as possible. And we'll continue to do so.
Okay, in the spirit of transparency, what is the contract, the actual dollar amount that we are paying this company?
That's a great question.
What's a lot? Because I need to know how much you're repaying this company.
It's not fully decided yet, but it's based on...
Give me a range. Yeah.
6 million.
$6 million.
Okay, you have one more question, but I have a line. I'm sorry, don't be mad at me. I can't be in this one. Sorry.
Okay, and one of the other concerns that's coming up is the fact that some of these commercial or, these businesses are getting abatements, and it just seems like the cost is being, passed down to the actual residents, right? What is the plan that Newark's going to be, what is the future plans with that? Is this going to be continuations of these abatements, or are all these commercial properties going to be taxed at a higher percentage than residential properties?
I'll answer that. I think that's a great question. With respect to abatement, if I could take 1 minute to explain what an abatement is. Yeah, you time it. An abatement is not a tax exemption. It is not. The only properties that are exempt in this city are government buildings, churches, schools. That's about it. Everybody else pays some form of taxes. Tax abated properties, yeah, absolutely. Well, the question is fair share. Tax abated properties pay typically what is called a payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot. The pilot is based on certain factors, but generally, the income generated by the property determines what the tax rate is. When you look at the taxes that a particular building pays with a pilot relative to what they paid the year before they got the pilot, 100% of the time, the pilot pays more than what that property was paying in taxes prior to the pilot going in. In most cases, but not all cases, if the property was assessed at a tax rate based on the assessed value of the property, it is likely that the city of Newark gets as much, if not more money from the pilot than it would get if there was a tax assessed on that property. One of the reasons for that is that when there's a pilot in place, the city doesn't pay a school tax. You don't pay a school tax on the pilot. So those dollars are saved. The individuals are saving those dollars, but it doesn't come off of the money that comes into the city's coffers to pay for the goods and services that we have to provide to the residents of the city of Newark. Now, the downside of that is we got kids, and we have kids in the school system, so we want to make sure that they are fully funded. Typically, the state picks up what the loss in revenue is for the school board, so there's a shared across the board, calculation that makes up for the loss in school revenue that they would otherwise get from the city. But the city does not lose in that sense. In these tax abated properties, they pay a pretty significant sum. It is not tax exempt, it is tax abated. That makes sense?
Thank you. So I just want to say before I get started, I'm strict on a 1 minute. We have to get out to school. So please don't be mad. It's just the timing, okay? Thank you.
Again, I want to make this clear. Our house is going to be compared to other houses on our block or in our community compared, correct? Yeah. But the majority of the houses are not homeowners on my block. People that buy those houses at $600,000, $650,000 don't live in the community. They are all renters. So how do you expect a senior citizen to compare to a $650,000 house when they've been there for the last 40 or 50 years? And the majority of people on the block are not homeowners. They buy the houses, they go wherever they want to go, and then y'all charge us all this money.
We will base the assessments on the sales. We will base the assessments on the sales. We have no power over who buys homes or who doesn't.
I know you don't have a power because it's not us that's buying them. We not buying them. And when I say we, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. Got a question. Like you said, with the changes in characteristics in areas and neighborhoods, and with different buildings and stuff coming in, like I live around the corner from a cannabis shop. So would that be taken into acceleration? Technically, I got a drug dealer living, like doing business, and they did ask us, and I guess they sent out a notice that a cannabis shop was open. Will that be taken into consideration? Because some of the traffic that comes in and out.
Everything.
Yeah, I was going to say yes. All neighborhood factors are considered. We will be walking through the neighborhoods. Our field inspectors will be walking through the neighborhoods. If there's commercial properties or of all different kinds located nearby, creating traffic, it does affect value for a buyer.
Okay, thank you for all the information you guys have brought to us, because that's what you're doing, you're bringing information to us. Pretty much this is cut in stone already. It's already in the stone because it's going to happen. Am I correct? Okay, you're just bringing it to us. Now, I know it's the county. Newark wasn't paying their fair share, so the county is coming after us to pay our fair share. That's what it's all about, am I correct? No, it's not.
We've always paid our fair share. Part of that fair share.
Go ahead.
The question is whether Newark has paid their fair share, and the answer is yes. Newark has paid its fair share relative to what the county needs to run the county.
To run the county?
Yes.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That fair share changes to some extent.
Okay, so we haven't been paying our fair share. Could you talk that 44
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what the ratio is of the assessed value of the property relative to its actual value, its fair market value. We haven't been paying a fair market value, but we have been paying our fair share. Those are two different things.
Okay, so the fair share is of our market value?
No, fair share is what, there's an amount of money that the county needs to run the county.
And we haven't been
There's an
giving
amount
them
of money.
that amount.
We have given them that amount of money.
So
That
why
amount
they
of
want
money.
some more from us?
But that's because, to your point, because the assessed values of the property have been lower relative to other municipalities in the county. So, in order to pay our fair share, we have to adjust that.
Because we have our property
Because
values.
our property values have gone down relative, the assessed value of our properties do not accurately reflect the fair market value of the properties. That's the problem.
Okay, so the problem is, so they're coming for us to pay our fair share.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, that's good. So like I said, it's all sketched in stone, so really we need to take this to the county and to our council people, you know.
Well, the assessment's got to happen.
No, I see, like I said, it's sketched in stone and all, and it's going to happen. So we just pray that we can do seniors, because I know I'm a senior, so.
There are programs available for us.
I'm not in the mood to sell my house because where I'm going.
Well, before you ask the question, on the senior issue, if there are seniors here, such as myself, and if you are at a certain, under a certain income level, you can qualify for a senior freeze. You still have to pay your taxes, but you get a look at you, but I don't know if you qualify. You have to apply to the state, you pay your full taxes, and then you get a rebate back from the state. That's one program. The other program is the anchor program. Checks are going out already for the anchor program. So there are opportunities for seniors and others to get adjustments in what they ultimately pay in taxes. You do not. You don't have to be retired, but there is an income limit with respect to the senior freeze. So I think
She's the last person, yes.
So you're the last.
I need to be the last.
Okay, so the young lady before asked about the revenue. So for years, residents of New York have been benefiting from lower taxes because of places. I'm sorry, ladies, could we have 1 minute? We can't hear her. Thank you. Because of businesses like NJ Pack, you know, all those big businesses, Prudential Center and so forth. So it sounds like the county wants Newark residents to pay a little bit more because you mentioned Hillside. Hillside doesn't have the kind of revenue or generates the kind of revenue that Newark generates. So it just sounds like we're being penalized because we have been able to benefit from that, being such a larger city, having those, you know, substantial revenues coming in. How do you propose that the seniors or those who, you know, rely on those tax records that have been told that, for instance, I bought my house in 2022. I was given one tax rate. Before I can even close, it jumped $4,000. We haven't had, supposedly we haven't had an assessment since 2013, but within less than a year, my taxes jumped $4,000. I can only imagine what it would jump to now if I were to do something to my home to, you know, just have it affordable, have it looking, you know, good where I can enjoy my home for the amount of money that I paid for it. How is that fair to the Newark residents that the county is putting such pressure on us simply because we were able to, you know, benefit from what our large city brings in?
I'll do my best to answer that as well. With respect to your taxes, the actual taxes you have to pay increases. When there's a sale of a property, any sale of a property, if it's a fair market value sale, arm's length transaction sale, the tax assessor's office gets that information and they are able to look at that and make a determination as to whether or not the taxes that your particular property pays should be adjusted one way or the other. And they do, not with every single sale, but there are sales where that happens. I think you said that right now, when this revaluation gets done, it's likely that your house values will jump again. Probably not. If it is already in 2022, I think you said, going up in the last 3 years, and I imagine it's based on something that Frank's office did, and you can make an appointment with Frank and he can go over that with you one-on-one if you want to.
If you could excuse me for a second, if we're talking about comparable sales, because I'm also a realtor,
my property has increased in value within the last 3 years. So if you're talking about comp sales, comparing my property to the next property that sold 3 years after mine, it's substantial.
Here's the difference. Property values have gone up. The difference there is your neighbor's property value has gone up. The property down the street has gone up. The property around the corner has gone up. So when they do all 53,000 lines, all of those property values that have gone up, they will all go into a pot. And all of that money in the pot will be taken into consideration as to what your taxes will be. The tax revaluation is a zero-sum game. If the budget stays the same, that means that we need, right now our budget is almost $1 billion. If we need $1 billion today, and we need $1 billion after the revaluation is done, it is likely that the amount of money that you're going to pay is going to be about the same. And once we take into consideration all of the commercial properties, all of these warehouses, all of these other industrial properties that may not have been assessed appropriately over the last years, once they're put into the equation as well, there's a good chance that your property taxes will stay flat, as long as our budget stays flat.
How did that work in 2013?
I wasn't here, but I imagine that there was some adjustment, but it's still a zero-sum game, even back in 2013. As long as the budget stayed the same, the amount of money that comes into the city's coffers will stay the same, and if all the properties are then assessed, well, they are then assessed at 100%, it really would depend on what the prior assessment was, 2 assessments ago. And quite frankly, the questions that talked about where square footages have changed, that was as a result of what happened 2 assessments ago. This company that did them now, we are trusting that they did them right 13 years ago, and we're trusting that they're going to do it right now. I don't know what happened, the assessment prior to that, to be honest with you. And they may have had to make corrections based on what was in the system prior to that last assessment. I think, Cynthia, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you. I see a lot of people have concerns, and I just want to go over the importance of having a block association, right? When we have these large community meetings, you have a lot to ask. That's why we encourage you to have block associations, so we can come and meet with you monthly to give you updates and information, and also address your concerns. Also, we have an initiative that when you start a block association, you get 15 doorbell cameras for free per block association. So if you do not have a block association, please reach out to me, let me know. But most importantly, having the administration come to your meetings to address your concerns right then and there. Sometimes there's a lot going on in the meeting, and there may be one person who don't have the courage or may not feel comfortable with asking out loud. So if you have those block meetings, we can come and have conversations, and we can have Frank to come visit your block as well, because I know there's a lot more to probably unpack per block association. So again, I just want to say that we're ending. Thank you all. I appreciate you all. If you have any questions, we kind of can hang around 5 minutes, but be mindful that the school, we have to be out soon. So thank you.